Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. Today I'm going to be talking about what I believe to be the single best way to win in Age of Empires 2. Now when it comes to strategy games, and especially complex ones like Age of Empires, it's really hard to determine exactly what you should be doing to win games. Every single game is different, really. There are so many variables like civs, the map generation, what your opponent goes for, what you go for, what happens in the game. There are so many different variables that it's really hard to get your play to be consistent and to get a consistent idea of what you should be doing to win the game. We can easily sit back and say, okay, well listen, it depends on what's going on in your particular game. We can't really give you any feedback because you have to see what exactly is happening. And I think that's true when it comes to analyzing individual games, but I also believe that there are some rules that we can follow and some core concepts that we can grasp to help make our play consistent across the board, and these concepts will apply to literally every game we play. We just have to think about how they apply and what specifically we're looking for, but these core concepts will be helping you in every single game we play. And I say this because I have a ton of experience myself playing 1v1s, but also, and this gives me a lot of perspective, I do a lot of coaching across various levels, various different levels, even against AI, against like 1000 elo, 2000 elo, etc. I've coached a wide variety of elos, and I still see that these core concepts hold up. And for this video, we're going to be talking about the single best way to win games, which is to get a faster castle age. And I'm going to explain exactly why I think that is the single best way to win games. Castle age is special. It is the best age to gain an advantage, and it has a few unique properties that we'll be discussing in this video that will make this very, very clear. Now, I will start by saying that this is not always the correct play, nor is it always possible. You're not guaranteed to get the faster castle age in every single game you play. It depends on the civs, of course. Like some civs will get like a nice boost into getting to faster castle, and especially at pro level where both players understand the value of castle age, both players will try to get it as fast as possible, and it might depend on who does a better job of getting there. But in lower levels, a lot of times people don't really know what their win condition is, so they might be kind of messing around and not playing optimally. So if you kind of have this idea in mind that you want to get the faster castle, you can find yourself getting to the position where you just have a free like 2 minutes head start to castle age, and you can easily snowball the game from there. So while it's not always possible to do so, I think it should be your game plan in like 95% of games. This should be your main idea as far as win conditions go. Now, why is a faster castle age so important? Why not the faster feudal age? Why not even a faster imperial age? What's so special about castle age? Well, let me show you. The first point here is that castle age has, in my opinion, the best power spikes across the entire game. Compared to other ages, you have the most power that comes from getting to castle age faster than your opponent. Number one, you get insane tech. So you have bodkin arrow, you have crossbow, you have ballistics that could come in, you have bow saw that boosts your economy. You have these technologies that come in right away that completely destroy any feudal age army. Like crossbows will kill any feudal age unit, including skirmishers. They also break through walls because crossbow with bodkin do 2 damage to a palisade, not just 1, whereas any unit before that does 1 damage to a palisade, or any range unit at least. Castle age also though gives you access to extra strong units like the knight and the cav archer, which are now really strong and really mobile units, which can help snowball the game immediately. And last but not least, it gives you access to siege for the first point of the game. Siege is one of the best ways to pull ahead and to actually end the game quite quickly, go for an all-in push before your opponent's able to defend. And if anyone's ever been against Huang, for example, you know how hard it is to defend against a siege push when you're still in the feudal age. So it's these power spikes that castle age provides that give you the immediate edge over your opponent. Even if you're just 1 or 2 minutes faster than your opponent to castle age, these technologies, extra units, or siege will help gain map control, take a good fight and snowball from there, or just simply start pushing your opponent's base and keep him pinned in, which is a bad position to be in, generally speaking. You don't want to be pinned inside your base, being an age down over your opponent that has superior units, superior attack, and siege access. It's really just not what you want to go for. But here's the thing. Even if your power spikes aren't enough to give you an advantage, for whatever reason, let's say your opponent fully stonewalled the map in feudal age. He said, you know what, I'm going to delay myself. I'm going to be 3 minutes later to castle age, but I'm going to stonewall myself. And for some reason, you just don't think of siege, or you can't go for siege. You can't break through his walls. He is well fortified. This is the best part of a castle age. It's the only age in the entire game where you can pull ahead in vill count without attacking your opponent's base. And this is, in my opinion, why castle age is so broken, because you can literally pull ahead, economically speaking, over your opponent without even touching it, without making a single military unit, just because you're adding extra town centers immediately upon hitting castle age. You have 200 stone in the bank. You can easily set up an extra 2 town centers and go for a 3 town center boom. Now, obviously, the Cumans is the one exception. They can do this in feudal age, although that comes with a bit more risk when it comes to human 2TC boom. But for a generic civilization, you only get access to this ability in a castle age. And this is where the flexibility of a faster castle age comes in. You, number one, get the power spike, the siege, the units that we already talked about. If for some reason that's not enough, then you can just add in economy, add in 2 extra town centers, and you can go for a huge boom. You can pull ahead in vills over your opponent without attacking him. This makes it so if you get to faster castle, you now have a consistent way to get ahead of your opponent no matter what he's doing. And this is such an amazing scenario to be in because it comes back to what I meant with core concepts applying to every single game. This concept of adding town centers will apply to every single game. If you get the faster castle, it doesn't matter what your opponent's going for, your game plan remains the same, and your win con is going to be to get ahead in economy and then look to beat him with, you know, superior units down the line, or maybe look to get to Imperial Age first and snowball your advantage that way later on into the game. And this also brings me to another point where, because you have these 2 options, you can either go for a siege push, you can either get into, you know, use your power spikes with your tech and put pressure on your opponent, or you can sit back and add economy, or even a mix of both. You now have 2 entirely separate game plans to pull ahead, and you can do a mix of both to get a strategic advantage with a little bit of a push and a little bit of economy. And this flexibility that you have and your opponent not knowing what you're going to go for just feels so unfair to have that over your opponent. Even if it's just 1 minute faster castle, you'd be surprised just how much advantage you can get in that 1 minute to set you up for the rest of the game. And the third point I have here that I think really drives it home for the faster castle age is that it also grants you access to relics for the first time in the game. If you can get a monastery early, you could pick up the relics before your opponent is able to respond to your monks on the field, so you can pressure him with your extra power spike. You know, your stronger tech, you can pressure him, keep him pinned in his base. Then right away, if you don't want to add an economy, you can just add in a monastery, pick up the relics with your monks, and that's going to set you up for late game. So not only can you set yourself up to snowball the game, not only can you set yourself up for economy to win later, you can also set yourself up with relics to win super later, you know, very, very later into the game. And this way you have all your bases covered. You have your military advantage, you have your economy advantage, and you also have your relic and late game advantage, all built through getting a faster castle age. Now, obviously, this is kind of like a wonderland I'm presenting where you're going to be able to get access to all the relics and pick them up smoothly. Normally, your opponent will have some resistance, some army and whatnot, but generally speaking, as a rule, getting to faster castle will give you at least the first punch, or at least the chance to pull ahead using one of these 3 ideas. Even if some things go wrong, you know, the resistance from your enemy is strong and you start losing monks, you start losing a few villagers, you will still, over like 100 games, win most of them by snowballing your advantage that you pick up with a faster castle. And the last thing that's worth mentioning as well is that in a castle, you have access to the most powerful building in the game, the castle. Obviously, maybe a bomber tower or Fatoria could be stronger, maybe a wonder in certain situations can be a stronger building, of course, but generally speaking, I would say that the castle is the best building in the entire game. And if you can get a forward castle, that's devastating. It completely destroys your opponent, especially on a map like Arena where you can pin them in, castle, break their walls, and completely destroy them. Or even on Arabia, if you can just get a castle right away in your base, start making your unique units. This is stuff that you only get access to in Castle Age. If you get the faster castle, you're just quicker to that tech, you're quicker to that unique unit, quicker to that castle drop, and you just have that opportunity to get to something very powerful before your opponent, which could be enough to end the game or give you substantial advantage. So in the end, for me, there are many ways to gain advantages in Age of Empires 2, and we can sit here and talk about, okay, should you go for this strategy in this specific scenario? Do you want to like go for a tower rush? You could go for extended feudal age, you could try to pressure your opponent, you know, in this way or that way. But when it comes to like one single thing that stands out from all the other strategies you can go for, all the other tactics available, I believe it's the faster castle age. And I have thought about this for a really long time now. I truly believe that faster castle age is the way to winning consistently in Age of Empires 2. One thing I kind of forgot to mention as well, and one reason why the faster castle age is so strong is because it's really hard to punish the faster castle age. There's no siege in feudal age, so there's only so much your opponent in feudal age can do to you. Like, he can tower rush you and kind of like prevent you from taking gold, for example, or he can go for all in feudal with like bloodline scouts and try to kill a lot of villagers. You know, maybe scouts and archers mix to pressure you. That's like the best comp in feudal, for example. He could try to do something like that to keep you off that faster castle and to disrupt your game plan, but it's way harder for him to pull that off compared to you getting to castle age and just quickly defending with, you know, knights, stronger attack or siege, and then getting right back into your zone with grabbing relics and adding in town centers for extra economy. And not only that, even if you lose a bunch of villagers, if you add in your town centers, you can even make all those vills back. You can catch up in vill count this way, and so even in the worst case scenario, you're still relatively okay if you can land yourself the faster castle age. So that's pretty much it. That's my recommendation as the single best way to win games games consistently for Age of Empires. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And this is a really good time for me to let you guys know that I'm going to be making an in-depth video on my Patreon, the Light Cavalry tier, and it's going to be talking about how to actually get the faster castlage. So it's going to be a more practical approach to the same concept and more in-depth approach. I'll be talking about, a few different things to keep in mind and to show you how to actually do it, so it's not just the theory you have. So if you guys are interested in that, do check out my Patreon. I also have other exclusive guides and content. It's really just the way to get 3,000 ELO. Trust me, you have to use the Patreon videos. There's going to be a link in the description. You can also check out my live stream on Twitch, link also in the description. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you guys did enjoy. Let me know your thoughts about this video in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next YouTube video. Take care and peace.